Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending our DSOBD Spring Webinar Series with the Word Infinity program by John Hopkins. Today we're very excited to highlight the Word Infinity program. This program is a 6-month social enterprise accelerator for both for-profit and nonprofit teams looking to make an impact across areas of health and sustainability while serving DC wards 7 and 8 and a little bit more broadly. Here with us is Al. And Al, I'm sorry, your last name again?
Brown, I'm sorry. Yes, Brown with an E.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Sarah Morley will be doing their presentation. So without further ado, Al, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Good to be here. Appreciate the invitation, folks. Always excited when we have an opportunity to share with our friends, colleagues, businesses in DC about what John Hopkins is doing. On the call with me today are a couple of my colleagues. You heard Sarah's name mentioned. Raina is with me, JR is with me, and Angela, and they'll introduce themselves when they come up to the podium to speak. But I want to kick off the session by doing something a little bit different and then come back to give you the 100,000-foot view of the work of John Hopkins in Washington, D.C. And Raina will drive that presentation, or at least give you a few thoughts about that and how that's going. But we have 3 objectives today. One is to let you know why, how, and what we're doing in DC and what we're excited about. Secondly, I hope that at the end of this presentation, a number of you would either enroll in our Word Infinity Accelerator or get your friends and family who are interested and qualify to enroll. And lastly, get you to register for a webinar, an event that we're having on Thursday. Wow, time's flying. On Thursday the 30th. So you'll hear a little bit more about that. But without further ado, let me give you a glimpse into what is Word Infinity, this accelerator that's in DC. Then we'll come back and Raina will give you a 100,000-foot view of our work in DC. Okay, share my screen.
Word Infinity is so important because it's creating a new model, creating health and wealth in a community, city.
Social accelerator.
I'm sorry, Al, I think the sound is not available. I think it might be the volume from your end or from the video there that we're seeing.
Oh, the sound is not coming through. I'm sorry. Let me try this again. Tell me if you're hearing it now.
Is that Word Infinity was designed to address support.
It's a good place.
Yep, a bit better actually. Yes.
And just overall, you never leave it.
I'm going to start this over quickly here. Sorry about that.
Word Infinity is so important because it's creating a new model for creating health and wealth in underinvested communities that can be applied to any city, but it's starting here first in DC.
Word Infinity is a social entrepreneurship accelerator. We elevate and help accelerate ideas from the community around health solutions that they might have.
I was so excited to witness the culmination of the work that our cohorts have done at the pitch competition, presenting groundbreaking solutions to all manner of issues. Food insecurity, maternal and child health issues. These are the kinds of ideas that Word Infinity was designed to address and support.
It's a good place for creating ideas, molding ideas, partners. They just overall, you never leave it. It's a family. So once you're in, you're in.
When we first started our organization, we were strictly passion-based, and what Ward Infinity did was help us to create a sustainable business model and to pivot into a market that is going to have us around for a while.
The work that Ward Infinity is doing here is supporting innovators and entrepreneurs developing solutions to some of the most pressing problems that we face.
And I think the Ward Infinity program gave you that chance to dream big with no boundaries.
Ward Infinity has helped me to grow through its acceleration program, working with their coaches as well as participating in the curriculum, helped me think about my go-to-market strategy as well as how to forge partnerships in the district.
We can't wait for everyone to come into our community and build. We have to build within our community.
Johns Hopkins has so many resources related to health in general. I think there's really no better use of those resources than to bring it to that micro community level.
This is where you want to be. This is what's going to be able to help change the world, to be able to spark a difference.
We came into the program with the initiative to find a solution for low health literacy for using digital technology to do so. Since we started with Johns Hopkins, it's been amazing.
If we can have a difference here, the innovations that we deploy can be translated to communities all around the country.
I have been working tirelessly on effective grade education, and being able to win the pitch competition was a very affirming opportunity for me.
Even if you don't win, winning's great. It's really getting the word out, having people know what you're doing, know about your venture. It's getting the practice to go out and pitch it.
It's absolutely going to work. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't going to. I have seen ventures that just went through our 5-year career program already, including some investments and solving some problems. This tells me this is going to work.
You love what you do. It's just infectious. People gravitate to it, even if you're the crazy farmer guy.
The fact that we are here in our new facility down the street from the DC Council building and down the street from the Capitol, this is an extraordinary opportunity to collaborate at the state, federal level, but also bringing in these amazing academic and healthcare resources that Johns Hopkins has to offer.
Okay. I hope that painted a picture of what we're going to talk about today, but now I'd like to segue and turn it over to my colleague, the Director of Government Affairs for Johns Hopkins for Washington, D.C., Raina Jordan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Really, Ward Infinity is an amazing program that is really just based on investing in the district and using our best resources, our residents, to do that. We work hand in hand with DC government to make sure that we receive the funding that we can help use to reinvest into our communities. And the program goes far and wide to make sure that it's not only helping you while you're in a member of the cohort, but while you graduate and move on and move forward. In my role as the Director of DC Government Affairs, it's my job to make sure I am highlighting not only the work of Ward Infinity, but the work of our participants as well. And so I really want to make sure that I'm getting to know everyone who is a member of the program quite well, and so that we take these opportunities to help you jump to the next step within your career and make sure that I'm highlighting the opportunities that exist within government for you. It's far-reaching, and it goes beyond just knowing council members and mayor. It's about being able to understand what's on the horizon, what's on the radar, and what are the opportunities that we can help provide you with as a member of Ward Infinity. That is my very quick soundbite, and so from there, I'll send it back to Al, but thank you so much for having us.
Raina, thanks a million. Now to jump into what is Ward Infinity. I'll pull up this deck. It's my screen sharing. So. So As mentioned previously, Ward Infinity is a social entrepreneurship accelerator of the Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. Work is centered around Washington, D.C. And while we often talk about some of the negative statistics, or people talk about some of the negative statistics of some of the areas of Washington, D.C., I and we prefer to talk about the opportunity that we have to work in the community and to work with entrepreneurs who are seeding really cool and important ideas. I've always maintained that talent is everywhere. What has not been everywhere has been opportunity. And I hope that as you hear and learn about our work today, you see that what we're trying to do is to create opportunities for everyone in DC to participate and build a better community. How and when and why did it get started? In 2017, colleagues from Sibley Memorial Hospital in Washington, D.C. recognized there was an opportunity for Johns Hopkins and Sibley Hospital to do more in the city. Put together a team of staff and began to have conversations in the city. And those conversations went on for about 8 months, meeting, walking the communities, talking to folks. And what came back to us was create opportunities, create entrepreneurship opportunities for us. We don't need another public charity offering in the city, but we want one that we want a program that understands our needs, but also has the rigor of the work that's necessary to be successful. And so today, in its sort of third iteration, we now have a accelerator that's centered around sort of 4 themes here. And the themes that were built based on those conversations, several assessments that happened, there's imagination, that we want to envision what doesn't exist. We want to work with the community to help make that happen. Creativity, applying imagination to address any of the challenges of the community. Innovation, apply creativity to develop those unique ideas. Entrepreneurship, apply innovation to bring those ideas to fruition so that they can be beneficial to everyone in the community, both from solving a problem and creating wealth. And so that is the invention cycle of our work and what we do. And the biggest piece of that is all about accessing success, what we call success capital. Success capital is about providing knowledge, skills, funding, time, relationships, and networks to the folks who are involved in our Ward Infinity program. I've been fortunate that in the last year that I've been here, we've had a cohort of folks who've brought to life a number of ideas that they were working on, and we hopefully added some value to that work with them. Featured on this slide here is JR, who you will hear from later today, but we have other alums who have done some amazing things, whether it's Marissa Nelson or the team at Well-Found Foods. That work happens and continues to happen with new cohort members that we're putting a call out for this fall. Actually in progress now, and you will hear more about that from my colleague Sarah at the halfway mark of this presentation. What is this Ward Infinity? We catalyze community vibrancy for historically underinvested communities. So wherever that community might exist, wherever people might come from in that community in DC, our goal is to provide you with resources to help you build wealth and solve problems in sustainability and health. We focus on 5 areas of investment: nutritious food, emotional and mental health, well-being, shaping healthy, sustainable communities, safe places where families can work and play and travel. We also try to drive solutions with health technology, encourage that. And lastly, we want to build access to equitable healthcare systems. So we are looking to make investments to the community and residents who have ideas in these 5 areas, and will not only make financial investments, but will make investments that will help them understand how to build their business, how to become an entrepreneur, how to get more effective at it, how to reach a broader audience, and eventually raise capital to scale their work. You will hear a little bit more later on about who's our ideal candidate, but in 2 sentences, it's you've got to be working to solve to bring a solution or a service to life that primarily impacts DC's residents. And so we look closely at that. We look closely at where you live and reside, and what commitment you have to the city is an important piece of the work. Other qualifications include, as an entrepreneur or as a small business, there are about 7 to 9 sort of steps that you can be labeled as a small business or as an entrepreneur. We bring folks in to work with us who are in the blueprint, validation, and stage, which is stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when and if you apply, you will learn more specifically about this. But in a nutshell, if you have an idea, you have tested it a little bit, you have a customer, you have a little bit of revenue, that means your product or service has some viability, and we will work with you if you're accepted into the program to help grow all of those areas. Or you may come in where you have a heavy customer base and you have some good revenue, but you're trying to do some behavior change. You want to scale, you want to correct the solution, you want to move it faster. Those are the 4 areas. So behavior change, customer demand, unit economics is what we're looking for in order to determine whether we are the best fit for you as a small business or an entrepreneur who wants to solve for a problem in DC. The core program is that we're a 5-month accelerator, but you become an alumni after that, and we continue to work with you in many ways. The program has 2 portions, 2 sides to it. The Accelerator, which is focused on not only finding you funding and getting you funding, but giving you core content knowledge that you will need in order to build a solid business. And then the Amplifier, the things that we do around that core programming area, whether it's helping you grow your network, making sure that you're involved with the community, all of those elements are pieces of the 2 big buckets of work that we do in order to help you to be successful. We know we are successful, and to do that, we're focused on a theory of action. And that theory of action says, we're going to grow you as a founder. Secondly, we want to empower your teams. Third, we want to create access to success capital, which I mentioned earlier as knowledge, social network, financial capability, and access. That so that you as a founder can scale, access customers, and grow an economically viable venture that will ultimately do 2 big things: improve the community, what we call community vibrancy, adding to the value of life and quality of life in Washington, D.C., and then specifically building wealth and solving for problems around health and sustainability as part of the program. These are the big buckets within that: the Accelerator, the Amplifier, colored cohort sessions. You 2 to 3 times a month. We'll meet. Sometimes virtually. You will get a schedule that will tell you what that looks like. Most of the professors, people teaching any particular workshop related to Johns Hopkins or University of Pennsylvania. A number of sessions are run by them. So sessions that would include understanding customers' journey and working with them, understanding whether or not your product has a market fit, and how do you ensure that. We provide coaches to every team. We provide industry mentors So if your business is in the food industry, we try to identify large corporations that might be willing to mentor your business. And that is in addition to the coach that you will have throughout your time as part of the program. And then you have personalized workshops. And we do that in a variety of ways, individually working with entrepreneurs and founders to help make sure that they're focused on the right tools and data to make decisions for their business. And then we bring all of the other pieces. I mentioned earlier that my colleague, Angela Collins, is also on the call today. She runs most of our storytelling and movement building work and will help you tell your story, help you frame that, help us tell our story so that we get exposure. Another colleague who is working with us on data and research, helping us identify what data is needed and how do you share that data and utilize it. How does it work? Mentioned it's an intensive program, but well supported. Sometimes we refer to it as 6 months because you have times that you have an enrollment period that can be included. But then you have classes that happen every week, mentioned 2 to 3 times a week, usually evenings. The next cohort starts on August 24th, and you'll hear more about that from my colleague. Quick snapshot of what those classes look like here. This was the last cohort's schedule. And so if you focus on the column where my mouse is over, you have customer discovery, getting to know your most urgent problems, understanding the market size and product fit, developing a value proposition. So these are all classes and workshops that are led by professors from Hopkins and staff. Quickly here, what did we do in 2023 and why are we continuing to iterate this work? We saw some good success. We had our first cohort under this new model, and we were able to get data systems and feedback loops, and we continue to codify the model, expand on our social network, and bring in brand champions to do this work. Before running the last cohort, we saw a number of successes from the previous 3 cohorts with folks like Market 7 and Wonder, that I'm sure if you're a resident in or around DC, you've heard of the work that they're doing. And so this is a quick snapshot of those ventures that went before the most recent and that are still doing good work, whether it's DC Urban Greens or Healthy Home Pediatrics, all continuing to build their business and solve for problems in DC. And they continue to be very much involved with us. In 2023, I was fortunate to be part of leading the 2023 cohort, and we had 8 teams. One you'll hear from today, JR, who is building a really unique, interesting, and consequential venture through Eightfold Farms, and you'll get to hear about that. But there are others that hopefully you'll check out on the website and through conversations with us. One of the unique things, and I mentioned earlier that we have an event on Thursday, we do what's called a Power Shift series. And the Power Shift is really about helping residents of DC understand what it takes and what's required to return the balance of power to residents of DC by educating, enlightening, enrolling folks in our work. And on Thursday, the session is about AI, its promise and its price, what you need to know, how you need to utilize it. We've had some success over the years. We'll continue to share that in terms of numbers. This is what we have been able to achieve working with all of the ventures so far as of January this year, about $1.1 million, about 1,000 people engaged in the work. In 2024-25, we're looking to build on that and include the newest piece will be adding AI to much of our work, and then focus on getting outcomes that are focused on every fellow, every team having real clarity about the impact of their work and the model, the organizational structure, and the business model. And for the overall accelerator, we're looking to make sure that we get to NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score of 80 plus. And that basically means that everyone who has been touched by the work we do has scored it an 80, an 8 out of 10 at minimum. And that's what we're looking to achieve. Thank you for the opportunity to share this overview with you. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Sarah Morley, who will give you some specifics around the work we're getting ready to launch the next cohort and what's needed if you want to get involved. Thanks for being here and looking forward to hearing from each of you.
Sarah, you're on mute.
Happens every time. Thanks so much, Al. And I will take it from here. And it's nice to meet all of you, even though I can't see your faces. My name is Sarah Morley, and I'm the operations manager here at Ward Infinity at Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. And I'm going to take you through the application. And I see a question about the schedule, so I'll answer a couple questions about the schedule. I'll introduce you to JR, who's one of our alumni, and then we'll open things up to a Q&A. So because I have too many security settings on my computer, it's not allowing me to screen share. So Javier, could you please show the link that I shared with you, which is our application?
Of course,
And
yes.
I am going to also share that application here in the chat box to everyone so you can follow along in your own computer. So you see that jot form link that I just sent out.
Okay.
Okay.
Sarah, do you see the application?
I do.
Okay, great.
Now, I want to preface this by saying if anyone reaches this link and asks you for a login, it typically shouldn't, but sometimes some people, they hit the link and ask for a login. That's because there's a feature on the application that allows you to save it and come back to it later. So we don't want anyone to have to look at this application, think of the question, like think of your responses, and then brain dump all at once. Give it a little bit of time, think about your responses. You can go back and forth to it if you like. So if at any point it asks you for a login, just create a login, and that way you can go through the application, take your time, put in your responses, talk to your team. So on the first page, you'll see here, this just runs through what Al just described to us. What is Ward Infinity? What are our goals and our missions for the accelerator? And who's a really good fit for Ward Infinity? You will see some things like, okay, so our investment areas. So this is perfect. We can stop right here. So I'll run through this just for a moment. I know Al already touched on it. So we do have a few investment areas that we focus on. And they're broad by design. We really focus on like some of the social determinants of health. So we look at health system accessibility, healthy environments, climate action, nutrition, community capacity building. So that would be like empowering under-resourced communities to access better health services, and then emotional well-being. And if you have a business or a nonprofit and you're like, I think it can fit in here, but I'm not quite sure, it's like somewhere on the brink of this, just apply. And this is going to be the moral of the story for this application. If you have a question about it, I would say just apply, or you can reach out to me. I'll share my email address in the chat, and you can always shoot me a message and say, like, Sarah, I'm pretty sure I meet the parameters for this application, but I have a couple of questions, and I'm happy to answer those for you because I know that these can be a little bit stressful. So those are our focus areas. Now we are focused on really bringing up organizations that are based in DC. So you have to be invested in Washington, DC, and supporting communities, like typically underserved communities. Now that doesn't mean that you only support underserved communities. Like a lot of our alumni businesses, they hire people from underserved communities. They are based in those communities, but they're also built to scale. So they're looking to expand to other territories in the US. They have a really great product that can grow, because that's what we want. We're looking for a business idea that's built to last. So if you're already in that growth stage, that's okay too. So we can continue to scroll down a little bit. So the program logistics, I believe Al mentioned that a cohort size is about 8 to 10 teams. And ideally, we'd like 2 to 4 participants per team. So that means no solo founders. If you're a one-person team, I give you a lot of credit, because that is so much work. We all know how much work that is to start a business and do it on your own. And if you feel like you're a really good fit for this accelerator, now's a good time to start building up that team. You got 2 weeks to apply. But we are looking for a strong team of at least 2 to 4 people who can participate in Word Infinity to really make the most of this experience. And we are looking to accept 8 to 10 teams this year. The duration is 5 months. So I did see a question about the schedule. So the first date is August 24th, 2024, and it's actually a weekend. So we have 2 days in a row, August 24th and the 25th, and they're half days. It's in DC, and we're going to do a deep dive, get everybody on the same page. And then the regular schedule will be on Monday evenings from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And that's about once a week, but I would say it's like three Mondays out of every month. So it's not every Monday of every month for 5 months. And we do take off for holidays. I see a question, is it in person? Good question. Yes, the majority of the sessions are in person. Occasionally they will be on Zoom, and that's really up to the guest speakers. We bring in speakers from the Johns Hopkins community, and sometimes they're traveling, and the best way to get them is over Zoom. So then we accommodate their schedule and we'll do it over Zoom. Okay, so frequency I covered, time commitment. So the sessions, as I mentioned, they're 3 hours, and then you will have some work prior to each session, then after the session. And that's really helping you with your business. So I wouldn't consider it to be like homework. It's more helping you really develop your product and product market fit, and doing a lot of customer discovery work. So you will do work that is benefiting your business. But I would anticipate that to take anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours a week. But that's a better question for JR to answer in a little bit. Now we can go down to program content if you want to just scroll a little bit. So these are just some highlights of the content that we'll cover. So it's like intensive business basics bootcamp. So anything you need to know about getting a business off the ground, venture development, looking at different types of business models, what works best for your venture. Now I use business as a loose term. We understand that many of you are nonprofits. So it's okay if you are a 501c3. We encourage you to join us. We also provide business coaching and leadership development, team building. We do try to pair you with a mentor that's familiar with your industry. And then we are adding a new component this year, which will be artificial intelligence competence development. So we're working on that right now. And there will be opportunities for non-dilutive funding. And we are securing that funding now. So I can't make any promises. But we do end the program with a pitch competition where there's opportunities to win money. JR from Eightfold Farms won $10,000 for his pitch. And Laura from Effective to Great Education, she won $25,000 as the winner of the pitch competition. And then we are also hoping to get other funding for all of our participants as non-dilutive seed funding. But again, we can't make those promises until we secure that funding. So the eligibility criteria, as we mentioned, you really need to be focused on DC. Now, originally we said you have to live in DC, and that is our goal. If you live in DC, we will prioritize founders who are residents of DC. If there are people on your leadership team who are just on the outskirts of DC, let's talk. But your focus really needs to be on building up Washington, DC, and building up communities in DC. If you can just scroll down a little bit more. Okay. And then this just kind of goes into the nitty gritty about the types of ventures. If you're a benefit corporation, you have to have a business license to participate. And then it just runs through a little bit of like the skill sets that we're looking for in your team. So this is not an exhaustive list. And again, I say, if you're on the fence, I say just apply. If you have some questions, reach out to me and I'll post my email address in here. Now we're going to go through what the application actually looks like. And Javi, if you can go back to the top, you'll see some tabs. Yes. Okay. So they're organized by contact information, team, your venture, and a video. So first we'll look at contact information. And this is going to be pretty self-explanatory. We want to know a little bit about you. So I'm going to look at it on my computer, so we're in the same space. Tell us about your business. It's really basic information. What's your business mission? What is your product? What do you do? And then that's it. So hopefully that part is pretty painless. And now if you can click on team. This section, we really want to understand, who makes up your team. So if it's not just the founder, who is on your leadership team who will be participating in Word Infinity? So we have spaces for 4 people. If you have 2 people, that's okay. If it's 3 people, but we want to know who's on your leadership team and who will we be working with. There is a section for referral and a letter of referral, and that is just for your whole organization. So it's not for an individual person. We just need a referral for your organization as a whole, and you can upload that there. Okay, and now you can click over to your venture, that tab. And this just asks some questions about the problem you're solving for, who are your customers and your users, what is your solution, what's your value proposition, tell us a little bit about your customers and revenue, if you're generating revenue. Technology, this is a loose-based question, like how are you using technology? And if you're not, how do you foresee yourself using technology in the future? And then how do you define success? So again, hopefully these questions are a little self-explanatory. And then at the end, just a quick video so you can share a narrative about your business. And this is really an opportunity for you to shine and for your team to shine. Oh, sorry, you're hitting an error because you haven't filled out the application. So that's probably why you're getting that error message. But make it fun. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Don't worry about editing it too much. Just get your team together, give us a fun pitch and really show us who you are. And that's it. So I did share the link for the application here. We will host a Q&A session for this application on June 3rd. But honestly, I think we're already having this conversation, even though it's one way right here. So ask your questions now. And if you have more questions, just email me and we can sort them out earlier. If you know of other people who are interested in Word Infinity, then I recommend sharing the Q&A information and they can join us then. And then also Al mentioned that we do have an event this Thursday at the Bloomberg Center at Johns Hopkins, which is at 555 Penn. So you are welcome to come. It's free to attend and it's going to be a great event. And I'll also share information about that and you can meet all of us. And before we run out of time here, I'd like to introduce all of you to J.R. Hines, who is one of our fabulous alumni from the program. And he's the founder of Eightfold Farms, which you may have already heard about him because everybody seems to know the Mushroom Man.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I went from the wine guy to the mushroom man overnight, it seems like. I'm not going to take up too much time because I know everyone has a ton of questions, but I would definitely say apply, apply, apply. Even if you don't think this is an opportunity for you, apply. If you feel like your team, you don't have necessarily a team, you'll be surprised who your team is because 9 times out of 10, you're working with someone now and you're not even thinking about the fact that they're part of your team. So I don't want people to stress themselves out about that either. Just to give you a little more about us and what we do at Eightfold Farms, we are a highly specialized produce and food supplier in Washington, D.C. And really created out of frustration of having to go 4 miles to go get groceries and wanted to find a solution to that problem. And we found that solution through urban agriculture. And went through actually our experience last year was as they say serendipitous. We won the DSLBD Dream Pitch competition, and then found out later on we got into the John Hopkins Ward Infinity program. So everything lined up for us right on time last year. And as far as the workload, I know one of those questions people have. It's not really work. Well, at least for us, it wasn't work because it was work that we were doing already. So it wasn't additional work. Again, everything just lined up for us. From day one, you're going to get that experience of, really breaking down what your company does and figuring out your customer base. You find out who, what a customer is, what a consumer is, the difference between that stuff. And it really, you get a MBA within those 5 months. And regardless of where you're starting at, you're either going to get some confirmation, one, or you're going to go and see that you have some more work to do and you get those tweaks and you're around professionals, not only the people through John Hopkins, but even the people in your cohort. They become valuable assets as well. And you really are equipped with the tools to fine tune your idea, go to market, and hit the road running. Whether it's if your goal is to build a better pitch, which we all can use, that's one thing that you're going to get. If your goal is to figure out what your customer base is, what your target market, maybe you're having struggles with that, you're going to find it here. So like I said, it's an MBA program crunched into 5 months. But the biggest thing I want everyone to get out of this is the networking. And say your net worth is your network. So, there have been several people that I've met. And again, even the people within the cohort, I'll call people from WellFound from time to time, or they'll send people over to me. And it's always a camaraderie that's there. And we're able to bounce ideas off of each other. I've bounced ideas off of Sarah and Al and other people within the program. So it's definitely a good networking opportunity. And going to pitch and getting more money for your venture is always great too. But the biggest thing is the knowledge that you're going to get, and then just the networking. So I don't want to take up too much time. If anyone has questions for me or for Sarah, please feel free to ask.
Great. Thanks so much, JR. Yeah, I thought I saw a question in here.
I think there is a question about the classes. Where are the classes held?
We're figuring out a location right now. Last year we were at Lafayette Plaza. We had a space in Grad School USA, and we're looking for another location right now. But they will be based in DC.
Okay. I'm just going through the chat. I think you already answered this question about do the team members need to only live in Ward 7 or 8? And can other team members live in other parts of DC, the DMV, or elsewhere?
Yes, you can live anywhere in DC, and if some of your team members are just outside of DC, we will work it out with you.
Okay. And how long after the application will you know that you were selected?
The selection date is July 24th, so you will find out 1 month prior to our start date. But you will know that you are in the final running prior to that. So we will, you will hear from us probably end of June, if you're selected for interviews.
There's another question about how do you choose team members? How do you
Yeah,
select
I
the
saw
team?
that question in there.
Mm.
For me personally, uh, my wife and my sister were my team members. We were already working together. We just never were officially a team, and I never thought about it that way. Um, my wife does a lot of event coordinating and things for us, admin stuff, and for our social side, we have a program called From Farm to Table, where we teach kids urban agricultural skills and financial literacy. And my sister is a teacher and has been a teacher in the DCPS system for over a decade now. And I will always constantly work with her, bounce ideas off of her, and kind of structure how we would teach the children. So again, it's one of those things that in the moment you don't really realize that you may feel alone, but you're bouncing ideas off of people, and there may be people in your family that you're working with close every day. And I would bounce ideas off of my wife and my sister every day about these programs and solutions to different things. Now, since then, we've grown and had a couple more people join us, surprisingly, or maybe not so much. But yeah, your team is look within your close within your vicinity.
Okay, a couple more questions about teams. There is, let's see, do the team members have to be part of the company or can they be collaborators?
I recommend that they are part of the company, because it is quite a commitment. I mean, they will be with you every Monday night coming to Word Infinity meetings. So, like, they really need to be invested in your company. Yeah. And we have had, in the past, we've had single founders who found collaborators to work with them. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it works great. And then sometimes they realize halfway through the program that it wasn't a good fit. And that's also business and that's life. But for this accelerator, I really recommend that you find people that you'll get a lot of value out of, like working closely with in this 5 month process. Because there's so much learning opportunity and we move quickly. And you're going to be working with them with mentors too. And so you just want people that are invested and you can rely on.
And do the founders, there's one, does the rest of the team need to take the class, I assume with the founders of the company?
Anyone who, like, if you're applying as a team, those team members will participate in Word Infinity. So we would like at least 2 team members to come to every Word Infinity meeting.
And honestly, it only helps your team anyway if everyone's there. If you have a gap and you have to fill in the gaps sometimes because the accelerator is so quick, it's better. It's best that everyone comes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe you mentioned there was a pitch competition, and can you go over that again? There's a question if selected, how much uh, money will the winners, I believe, at the end will receive?
So this year the winnings were, there was a $25,000 prize and a $10,000 prize. There could be more prizes this year. It just depends on how much funding we get for those.
Okay.
Mhm.
And a couple more questions here.
Oh, and I want to share some links right now before I forget.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I know we already shared this, but here is the application. It says jot form. Okay, here is our event coming up on Thursday.
Sorry, mine's just went out for some reason.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, did that just go? Okay. Here is the Eventbrite for Q&A.
Oh, okay.
Q&A session.
I'm also going to drop in our website and my email address. So if you all
Yes.
want to have questions directed towards me as well, I am willing to answer those.
Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions, but I do would like to first of all encourage folks on the call or on the in the meeting here to sign up for the Q&A session for on June 3rd, and it's in the link there. We'll also share it on a follow-up email along with the recording, the link to the recording once we download that from the platform here. But definitely like to extend our thank you to Sarah, Al, JR, and Raina. Thank you so much for taking the time here to introduce folks on the on Ward Infinity. I should say, or also should note that several of our InnoEd program alumni and local businesses that we have worked with have gone through the Ward Infinity program. So they've been successfully gone through this program. So please check it out. If you're interested, please apply by June 10th, which is the deadline. If you don't get accepted this year, check them out again and keep this program on your list for future years. And I believe that is it, folks. So thank you so much again. And everybody have a great evening.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye.